C.G. Cooper here, back with Chapter 23 of Core Justice. Here we go. Chapter 23, Camp Sporton, Arrington, Tennessee. After relaying the story, pausing once in a while for laughter, to the assembled group consisting of Cal, Brian, Andy, Travis, and Neil, Trent went on to explain that he thought what he thought they should do with the stolen cell phones. It seemed to me that West is pretty tight on cash. I doubt he'd want to miss any one of his pickups. My vote would be to set a little ambush for his cash girl, convince her to take us back to Dante tomorrow night. The problem is, now he'll know we're on to him if he calls one of these cell phones. Cal turned to Neil. Do you have any way to tap into these cell phones? I thought you'd never ask. I can make these phones do things you could never imagine. When I'm done with them, they'll be singing like canaries. You want to tell us how you're going to do that, or do I have to zip tie your ass like Top's buddies? Neil looked apologetic. Didn't mean to be a smartass, Cal. So here's what I'm going to do. I'll take whatever info I can off the cell phones. I can pretty much guarantee they're disposable, so their secrets will be limited. If we're lucky, I might be able to find the phone number West is calling from, and then use a cell's carrier network to pinpoint which towers he's been feeding off of when he calls. That might give us a better idea of where he's operating out of. Again, no promises. Cal nodded. That's more than we had an hour ago. Do the best you can and get us close. I think the rest of us should get working on gear. About 15 minutes later, Neil looked up from his laptop. I've got something. The rest of the group crowded around to look over his shoulder. The entire screen looked like complete gibberish to all except for the excited computer hacker. Neil pointed at the screen. So check this out right here. I told the program to look for two numbers I tagged that were recently used by West. At least we know he's still in the area. Cal stared at the screen, not fully comprehending what he should be looking at. Dude, you want to tell us what the hell you're talking about? What is all the crap on the screen? These right here are the periodic signals from the towers at the north end of Nashville, Neil explained. All the recent pings are in the same area. So we can see exactly where this guy's hiding, Brian said. Neil shook his head. Nope, this just shows us the general area he's hanging out in. How big of an area are we talking about? Trent asked. Neil looked sheepish. About 2 square miles. Cal clenched his fist in frustration. That's like finding a needle in a haystack. Can't you do any better than that? I told you this wasn't foolproof, Cal, Neil said. It doesn't help that West isn't a total idiot. He's clearly utilizing multiple disposable phones, using them only when needed. The best shot we have is if he calls one of the phones Willie brought back, or we catch him moving out of the area he's been hanging out in. Shit, Cal dragged a hand down his face. Look, we don't have much time before he realizes those cell phones are compromised. Anyone have any bright ideas? Andy shrugged. What if we just give the guy a call? What's the worst that could happen? Maybe Master Sergeant Trent could play his give me my money routine. To what end? Cal asked. He just trashed the phone he's got. No, we've got to have a better plan to use these damn things to our advantage. Cal picked up one of the stolen cell phones and started turning it over and over as he contemplated their next move. What if we got him to run? Brian said suddenly. Cal turned to the former corpsman, waved for him to continue. What I mean is set up some kind of loose perimeter in the area we think he's hanging out in. Then maybe Top can scare him enough to run into our net. It's not the perfect solution, but at least it's something. It was obvious, after a few quiet seconds, that no one really loved the idea, but all were at a loss to come up with something better. So let's say we get this guy out in the open, Andy said. Then what? A French Connection style chase through the streets of Nashville? I see way too many things wrong with the idea, but unless we can pinpoint his exact location and conduct a quick raid, I can't think of anything better. Cal nodded and stroked his chin. So if we can't just catch him in the open, can we somehow lure him to another location and take him there? Trent checked his watch. Cal, it's 6 a.m. I really don't think... The silent buzzing of one of the confiscated phones cut off Trent's comment. Everyone looked down in anticipation as Cal carefully picked it up and looked at the caller ID. It's him. Without hesitation, Master Sergeant Trent grabbed the small phone and answered on speakerphone. Yeah? Yo, who's this? Dante asked. A customer. Listen, asshole, put Javon on the phone. Javon ain't here. He went to take a leak. Then put Polo on. He's upstairs getting it on with one of the girls. They could hear swearing in the background as Dante tried to figure out what the hell was going on. Go get those idiots and tell them to call me back. The line went dead. Well, that buys us 2 minutes, Trent said. Any ideas? Neil looked up from his computer. I think I've got something. My tracking program was able to pinpoint West's location down to 1 square block. Is there any way we can get there fast? Andy shook his head. Now that it's light out, I don't see how we can pull this off without the whole world knowing. I say we call him back and tell him we know where he is and see what happens. Cal, can we get some of your company assets up there like yesterday? Cal turned to his cousin. Trav, can I get 4 teams of 2 in civvies and standard vehicles up to Nashville? I'll have them out front in 10 minutes. Let's split up into 2 teams. Me, Top, and Neil will ride in Top's truck. Doc, can you drive your car up with Andy? I would rather keep you 2 a little farther back, just in case. Brian shrugged. No problem. All right, everyone grab your gear and any weapons you can conceal on your person, Cal said. Top, do you have some extra shotguns in the back of your truck? Yeah. Why don't you go down with Doc and give him and Andy each one? That was a weird sentence. You got it, Trent said. Trent, Brian, and Andy left the room. Cal turned to his tech guru. Neil, can you bring your tracking gear on the ride with us? Of course. Good. Now go put on some more operational shoes and let's get going. Neil looked down at his Italian loafers. I thought I had them on already. As promised, 10 minutes later, the teams assembled outside the lodge. Cal gave everyone their instructions in patrol areas. Neil handed out small, watertight boxes to each team. Cal looked at him quizzically. Neil just winked back. No one hesitated as they jumped in their respective vehicles and headed north. All right, pretty self-explanatory chapter. So how about we just move on to the next?